What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network, the channel dedicated to providing you with competitive Pokemon TCG content. Today I'm talking about a new GX card that was revealed, Dedenne GX. Credits for the image, translation, and information on this card go to pokebeach.com. So this card is coming out in Sun and Moon 9A in Japan. The set's called Night Unison, I believe, and it's coming out there on January 11th. So let's just go over the card. Lightning type basic Pokemon, 160 HP, and it is a GX Pokemon. Its ability, Dedechange. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to your bench during your turn, you may discard your hand and draw 6 cards. You can only use one Dedechange ability per turn. Its first attack, Static Shock, for Lightning Colorless, does 50 damage. And Zappy Return GX for Lightning and Colorless does 50 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. Return this Pokemon and all cards attached to it to your hand. And other than that, its weakness is fighting, its resistance is -20 to metal, and it has 1 retreat cost. So there's a lot of attributes to mention and go over about this card. We'll start with its ability, Dedechange. So when you play this Pokemon from your hand, discard your hand and draw 6. That's really, really good. It's kind of like a weaker Sycamore in the form of a GX Pokemon that you play down. So yes, I definitely think it'll see play, because Sycamore, which takes up your supporter for the turn, discard your hand and draw 7, was one of the, if not the most popular supporter card of its time. So Dedenne allows you to discard your hand and draw 6. So reasons this is more balanced than Sycamore include that you're drawing 1 less card and that you're taking up a bench space. Now, not only that, but that bench space is being taken up by a GX Pokemon, which serves not many more uses to you throughout the game. Also, like Professor Sycamore, you can only use 1 a turn. Now, Professor Sycamore went without saying since it was a supporter card, unless you had a loophole around that, like Magnezone's Dual Brain ability, which allows you to play 2 supporter cards a turn, or something like the old Smeargle with Portrait from Legacy format. Professor Sycamore could only be played once a turn since it was a supporter. So Dedenne has, on its ability, Dedechange, you can only use 1 Dedechange ability per turn. So I really applaud the card developers' addition of this limitation to the ability, that you can only use it once a turn. So it cannot be abused like Shaman EX was in the past in, say, Mega Rayquaza decks, or even Zoroark decks with Skyfield out, where you could play 3, maybe even 4 Shaman EXs a turn and use all of their setup abilities. So to my knowledge, there's no way around this limitation of only using 1 Dedechange ability per turn. Even if you Acerolled it and played it back down, I believe that blanket effect would still be on the board and you would not be able to Dedechange again. But this is just how the translation reads. Sometimes the translations come out different in America, so we will have to see, but as it stands, you can only use 1 Dedechange ability per turn, and I don't think you can get around that. So in comparing this card to Professor Sycamore, I also ran into Shaman EX a bit there. So Shaman's ability was set up when you play this card from your hand to your bench during your turn, draw cards until you have 6 in your hand. It did not have a limitation like Dedechange does, but I, again, will say that I think this limitation of only 1 Dedechange ability per turn is needed and great, and will make Dedenne GX not break the Pokemon TCG. So Shaman would draw you up to 6. The maximum was 6 if you could empty your hand before playing it. The Dedenne GX will always draw you 6. You have to discard your hand, but some decks you even want to discard your hand. I think it's no question that if Shaman EX was played and Sycamore was played, that the Dedenne GX will definitely see play. Another card I think this will be compared to a lot is Zebstrika from Lost Thunder, which has been seeing some play. It's popular as a 1/1 or 2/2 line in Granbull right now, so you have evolution abilities to draw with in case of a Alolan Muck shutting off your Oranguru. So Zebstrika once a turn allows you to discard your hand and draw cards until you have 4. Dedenne allows you to discard your hand and draw 6, which is obviously much better, but Dedenne's you can only use once, and Zebstrika's is a once per turn. While Zebstrika's is a once per turn for 2 less cards, you also have to evolve it to get it into play, while Dedenne is a basic Pokemon that immediately grants you this effect of drawing 6 cards, which is why I think it will see a lot more play than Zebstrika does, but they are fairly comparable in their effects for drawing cards and discarding in order to do so. Moving forward from its ability, its attack Static Shock does 50 damage for a lightning and a colorless energy. Nothing really special here, and I think that's super important for the balancing of this card and the balancing of the formats that this card will be played in. Historically, these popular ability Pokemon with when you play from your hand abilities, like Shaman EX with Setup and Tapu Lele GX and Uxie with Setup from Legends Awakened, they have attacks that are also fairly usable in any deck that you include them in. Tapu Lele GX has Energy Drive, which ends up being a good backup attacker in decks with DCE or Energy Acceleration in them. Shaman EX has Sky Return, which does 30 and then picks up the Pokemon so you can use it again. And Uxie, back in the day in Legends Awakened, had the same thing. It did 20 and then returned it to your hand for a colorless energy. I think it's really important that the Dedenne GX attacks for a lightning and colorless. So one, it's only attacking if you have Rainbow or Unit or Lightning Energy and another energy. 2, it's not using DCE to attack, which is a huge debate about how many popular Pokemon get to use DCE to attack. And 3, even if you have Lightning Energy and another energy attached, it's only doing 50 damage, so it's not a huge deal. Lastly, it has Zappy Return GX, so this attack does 50 damage, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed, and you've returned Dedenne GX and all cards attached to it to your hand. So Dedenne GX is coming back to your hand. Like I mentioned, Shaman EX did and Uxie did, and were reasons why those cards weren't very balanced and were highly played. But Dedenne GX only returns to your hand with the use of its GX attack, which does 50 damage and paralyzes the defending Pokemon, which isn't too bad, but you don't really want to be using that as your GX attack unless you have no other good GX attacks or the game just isn't going well, and Zappy Return GX is the best you have going for you at that moment. So yet another great thing about this card's design is that it can return to your hand like those historical setup Pokemon in the past, but it's its GX attack, and most importantly, it needs a lightning energy. It doesn't do it for just a 2 colorless energy. So that, in addition to its normal attack not being that amazing and its ability being limited to once a turn, while being a very good ability, will make this card very played and also very balanced. The other attributes on this card that I believe make it very balanced are its 1 retreat cost, which would allow you to retreat with an escape board or a single basic energy card. Free retreat would be really good, and 2 retreat might be a little too bad. I think the card would still see play if it had 2 retreat, but I think 1 retreat is definitely fine for it. Resistance to metal isn't too important, and the weakness to fighting is definitely a balancing factor for this card. So, because fighting is always popular because of Buzzwole GX and Baby Buzzwole and Lycanroc GX, this card has a weakness that actually matters in the game. Unlike Shaman EX, it has 160 HP, so only 10 HP less than Tapu Lele GX, so cards trying to target Tapu Lele will also be effective against taking down the Dedenne GX on your opponent's bench or on your own bench. But I think 160 is a fair amount of HP for this card. Jirachi EX in the past, which searched for a supporter when it was played, only had 90 HP and gave up 2 prizes. Shaman EX had 110 HP for its setup attack, or its setup ability, sorry. And this Dedenne has 160. I think it's really good that it has 160. They easily could have given it less HP, but I feel like with less HP, they wouldn't have added the once per turn for Dedechange, and I think this is the better route to go. So in review, Dedenne GX gets 2 thumbs up from me. I think it's a fantastic card, but I don't think it's broken. I think it will be fun to play with and against. Only once a turn means that it can't be heavily abused, but it can effectively draw you more cards when you need them. So I think this card is great. I'm excited to put it in my decks. I'm excited to see what everyone else has to think about it. So I hope you enjoyed this review and analyzation of the new Dedenne GX coming out January 11th in Japan in the Night Unison set. We should be getting it later in 2019. And I hope you all have a good day and enjoyed this video. I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.